You are 42 years old. You're a total consumer debt, a suffocating mix of maxed-out credit cards, a personal consolidation loan, and a predatory boat loan you took out during a manic midlife crisis, stands at $114,000. It is 11:45 p.m. on a freezing Thursday. You are sitting at a cluttered desk in the basement, lit only by the harsh glare of a laptop screen displaying a spreadsheet colored almost entirely in red. The math is brutal. Your minimum monthly payments exceed your take-home pay by exactly $450. Your jaw is permanently clenched, and a dull, radiating ache has settled behind your left eye. You wake up at 5:15 a.m., your heart instantly racing before your eyes even adjust to the dark. You don't check the news. You check your email for the word past due. The world treats you like a statistic, but collection algorithms treat you like prey. You have developed a tactical habit of ignoring calls from unknown numbers, leaving your phone permanently on Do Not Disturb. You look at your spouse over the kitchen island while the coffee machine drips. The silence between you isn't peaceful. It is a defensive wall built to avoid the one topic that will inevitably trigger a screaming match about groceries. At your job, you are a ghost. You sit through a presentation on company expansion while secretly calculating how many days of groceries you can buy if you skip the electricity payment until the final disconnect notice arrives. A wave of profound shame hits you when a junior colleague asks if you want to chip in $10 for a manager's birthday gift. You fake a laugh, pretend you left your wallet in your car, and retreat to a bathroom stall. You lean your head against the cold partition, completely paralyzed by the realization that you have traded your entire productive adult life for plastic cards and depreciating assets. You are 44 years old. You don't have collection agencies calling you, but you owe $62,000 split across two high-interest credit cards, a massive balance on a retail store card from a kitchen remodel, and a hefty personal loan. It is a humid Tuesday evening. You are standing in line at a home improvement store, holding a replacement garbage disposal. To the stranger behind you, you look like a successful suburban homeowner. To yourself, you feel like a fraud. You slide your card to pay for the $190 item, praying the transaction goes through without hitting the hard ceiling of your credit limit. You drive home in an SUV that carries an $850 monthly payment. You look at the pristine dashboards of the vehicles idling next to you in traffic, realizing that almost everyone around you is participating in the exact same economic fiction. You aren't drowning in the traditional sense. You are simply treading water in an ocean of monthly payments. Bureau of Labor Statistics data confirms you are in your peak earning years, yet 40% of your paycheck is automatically vaporized by debt servicing before it ever touches your checking account. You are working 50 hours a week just to act as a highly efficient clearinghouse for major banks. Your lifestyle choices are entirely dictated by your balances. You tell your friends you're skipping the annual golf trip because you're too busy with the kids. But the unvoiced truth is your credit profile cannot absorb another major charge. On your evening walk, a wave of intense exhaustion washes over you. You look at the manicured lawns of your neighborhood and realize that this debt hasn't bought you luxury. It has bought you an incredibly high-maintenance prison. The anxiety isn't a sharp panic anymore. It has devolved into a permanent, heavy background hum that alters your breathing every single night. You are 46 years old. Your aggressive repayment strategy has successfully shaved your consumer debt down to $24,000. You no longer have maxed-out accounts, but you have transitioned into a master strategist of the balance transfer matrix. It is 7:15 p.m. on a noisy Friday. You are sitting in a crowded suburban restaurant with your family, celebrating your daughter making the varsity soccer team. You open your banking app under the table to verify your available balance before the waiter brings the check. You aren't panicking, but you are mentally tracking the exact expiration date of a 0% interest promotional window on a credit card. The financial system now treats you as a premium customer to be farmed for interest. Because your credit score is recovered, banks bombard your mailbox with sleek, pre-approved offers featuring shiny gold lettering. You spend your Sunday mornings playing financial Tetris, moving balances from one financial institution to another to dodge the 24% interest cliff. You have successfully managed the acute bleeding, but you realize your mental bandwidth is entirely consumed by maintaining this delicate ecosystem. Federal Reserve data shows you owe less consumer debt than the average American household, yet you still feel profoundly bound to the system. You drive home in a mid-sized sedan with 3 years of financing left on the contract. Your corporate salary has increased, but every extra dollar is immediately swallowed by the fixed minimums of this lingering tail of debt. You sit on your couch in the dark after your family goes upstairs. You realize that while you have escaped the crushing avalanche of level 1, you are still running a marathon with weights tied to your ankles. Your 40s are being spent paying for the choices of your 30s, and that quiet compromise shapes your posture as you turn off the lights. You are 48 years old. You have achieved a major milestone. Your consumer credit cards and personal loans are officially at zero. You proudly tell your colleagues that you are entirely consumer debt-free. But beneath that polished exterior lies a massive, structural debt fortress. You owe $540,000 on a suburban home mortgage. Your 2 family vehicles are locked into high-end leases, and you just co-sign a $45,000 student loan for your son's university tuition. It is 6:30 a.m. on a misty Monday morning. You are standing on your pristine backyard deck, watching the automated lawn sprinklers click on. You have entered a high overhead trap, where massive debt is completely masked as social achievement. To your neighbors, you are the blueprint of upper-middle-class stability, but your monthly fixed recurring liabilities are an absolute monster. Your life requires an unceasing, heavy injection of liquid cash every single month just to maintain the stability of the fortress. IRS income data puts your household in a high bracket, but your net cash flow is a razor-thin line. If you experience a corporate downsizing tomorrow, your runway is shockingly short before the bank repossesses the illusion. You look through the window at your expensive kitchen countertops. You realize your professional autonomy has been entirely sacrificed to maintain your credit profile, because you cannot afford to walk away from your corporate director title for even 30 days. You aren't worried about collection calls anymore. You're terrified of the sheer speed at which your lifestyle consumes capital. Your possessions don't give you security. They demand your remaining productive years to pay for them. You walk to your car for the morning commute, gripped by the cold realization that you are just a highly paid custodian leasing a luxury existence from a syndicate of institutional lenders. You are 49 years old. Your non-mortgage debt is long gone, and your primary home loan has been whittled down to $320,000. You have officially stepped out of a high overhead trap, yet you are now ensnared by the psychological phenomenon of the golden handcuffs. It is 1:30 a.m. You are standing in your dark kitchen, listening to the rhythmic, mechanical hum of your refrigerator. You just spent the last 2 hours analyzing a job offer from a nimble, exciting startup that promises genuine equity, but comes with a 20% cut in base salary. The financial system treats you as a pillar of low-risk stability, offering you rock-bottom interest rates on refinancing options you don't even need. But your own mind treats the remaining mortgage as an absolute boundary line. You do some quick mental arithmetic. At your current corporate director salary, you can fully extinguish this debt in exactly 5 years. Taking the startup risk means extending that timeline into your mid-50s. You look at your old leather wallet on the counter and realize with a sudden, heavy dread that your debt reduction journey has fundamentally changed your psychology. You have traded your youthful ambition for a profound, defensive obsession with risk aversion. The cold reality of your financial landscape dictates that you are statistically wealthier than 90% of your peers, yet you are still entirely bound to your desk by a line item on a bank statement. You cannot afford to tell your erratic regional vice president what you actually think of his new corporate strategy, because doing so risks the steady cash flow required to clear that final balance. You walk back up the stairs in the dark, feeling the phantom weight of a property deed in your hands. You are a highly successful professional who has built a beautifully comfortable life, but you are still trading your irreplaceable autonomy for numbers on a ledger. You are 51 years old. You have achieved what only a tiny fraction of the global population ever manages. You are completely, unequivocally debt-free. Your mortgage is burned, your cards are paid in full, and your name is the sole entity on every asset you own. It is 10:15 a.m. on a quiet Tuesday. You are sitting on a park bench under a massive oak tree, holding a warm paper cup of coffee. You don't have a morning meeting to rush to, and you don't owe a single dollar to any banking institution on earth. You have won the game. But as you watch the autumn leaves drift down to grass, a strange, hollow lightness settles over you. For nearly 30 years, your entire adult identity was defined by the kinetic energy of a struggle. You were either running away from the predatory debt of your early 30s or sprinting toward the finish line of a paid-off mortgage in your 40s. The debt was an adversary, but it was also a powerful engine that gave your daily labor a profound sense of urgency and clear, measurable mission goals. Now, the adversary is dead, the scoreboard is blank, and the silence is deafening. You realize with a chill that without the resistance of a monthly obligation, you don't entirely know who the person sitting on the park bench is. When you meet your old corporate colleagues for dinner, you find yourself completely disconnected from their frantic venting about interest rates, refinancing stress, and rising housing costs. Their problems sound incredibly trivial to you, and your total freedom sounds like an unattainable fantasy to them. You have constructed an unassailable financial fortress that completely protects you from the economic machine, only to discover that you are the sole occupant of an incredibly quiet vacuum. The pressure is gone, but the purpose folder is entirely empty. You are 53 years old. Your family office portal displays a net worth of $7.5 million. At this level, your relationship with debt undergoes a sophisticated, counterintuitive transformation. You have graduated from consumer borrowing to institutional leverage. It is 4:30 p.m. on a crisp autumn afternoon. You are sitting in a private conference room on the top floor of a downtown skyscraper, reviewing a contract for a $2.5 million commercial real estate acquisition. You aren't paying with cash. You are utilizing a low-interest line of credit secured against your own public equity portfolio. The banking system no longer views you as a borrower to be squeezed for interest. They treat you as a strategic partner to be incentivized with institutional capital. Wealth management data confirms that the ultra-wealthy do not avoid debt. They weaponize it to avoid capital gains taxes and accelerate wealth velocity. You find yourself casually discussing loan-to-value ratios and floating interest rate hedges with a team of private bankers who treat your personal liabilities as a highly optimized tax strategy. You look at the sleek, matte black pen in your hand and realize you are now playing a game of pure abstraction. Yet, as you sign the closing documents, a deep psychological friction develops. You look at the multi-million-dollar liability on the page and realize that while this debt is technically good leverage, it represents a massive return of risk into your life. You are once again bound to the global market's performance. A sharp market correction could trigger a collateral call, threatening the very fortress you spent your entire life constructing. You drive home in a luxury vehicle, realizing the ultimate irony of the wealth ladder. You spend your 40s fighting ruthlessly to escape the trap of owing money, only spend your 50s voluntarily taking on millions in debt just to keep your fortune moving. You are 55 years old. You have achieved definitive, multi-generational financial sovereignty. Your life is entirely insulated from standard economic friction by a dedicated private wealth enterprise. It is sunset on a quiet Thursday evening. You are sitting on the outdoor terrace of a luxury mountain estate, watching the last rays of golden light hit the snow-capped peaks. Below you, the valley is completely silent. Your lifestyle is entirely funded by a rolling, non-purpose line of credit that allows you to access millions in liquid cash at a moment's notice without ever liquidating a single asset. At this tier, debt is completely invisible. You do not make monthly payments. You do not look at billing cycles, and you do not interface with credit bureaus. Your private wealth team manages your liabilities behind the scenes, automatically balancing your debt drawdowns against your dividend distributions. The market treats you like a sovereign ruler, and the global banking cartels treat your name as a currency unto itself. You are completely insulated from every material and structural worry known to modern human civilization. But as a mountain air chills, you open your phone out of pure, decades-old muscle memory. You scroll deep into an archived digital folder, past the private equity structures and the state tax strategies, until you find a digital note from 23 years ago titled Debts. It is just a raw, messy list of maxed-out store cards, a predatory boat loan, and the exact minimum payment required to avoid a utility disconnect. You read those faded numbers, and you feel a sudden, sharp ache of nostalgia in your chest that your vast fortune hasn't been able to replicate in decades. You realize with devastating clarity that the stressed 42-year-old man who wrote that note in a cold basement was far more vibrantly alive than the comfortable man sitting on the terrace tonight. That man had an apex to reach. He had a driving, urgent mission to save his own life. You are just standing alone on a frozen summit. The orange horizon darkens. The cursor blinks.